everyone, welcome back to StrangeCast, Player One vs. World's Life is Strange podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Adnan. My co-host Adam is here. Adam, you here?
I'm here. It's the morning. I am feeling good.
We are feeling good. So we are back after a little bit of a hectic schedule with StrangeCast episodes dropping left, right, and centre. Obviously, as we had that Kylie episode, we had other episodes in between it, but we are now back on a 2-week run period, and we also have, well, we have some decent content as well to cover in this episode. But if you are here first, would you please drop us a subscribe, like, share, comment, put a notification on? It does help the channel. I wouldn't ask otherwise. And as always as well, StrangeCast is available on podcast services, so we are available on everything, including Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, Stitcher, all that good jazz. So do head on over there if you want the audio version, and there is an actual video and audio version on Spotify as well, so do follow us on those links if you want as well, and do rate us on those as well. It does help. So Adam, we are back. We'll dig into our news first.
I was going to say, as a recording, we're at 909 subscribers, so come on now, get them to 1,000. Let's go.
If only. And everyone as well, I'm hopeful Life After Strange will come back at some point this month. Hopeful. I have 2 guests lined up. I'm just trying to get dates and recording, and that, I know it's been almost 4 months or so, but like, just it's I'm in the worst process of trying to arrange it, so please bear patience with me as well with that. But yeah, away from that, let's move into the news first. So this isn't life-changing news, this is very small news. I kind of wanted to build it into this topic segment because I think like it gives us a bit more context about what we're going to be expecting from Don't Nod Montreal. And it's just a very brief exchange I saw from here. So Adam, I will give you a bit of context because I followed. So Natalie Flores tweeted first, and Michel, who is, we all know Michel from Life is Strange 1 to Don't Nod Montreal, he responded to it. And you can't see Natalie's tweets anymore because she's private account. I imagine some nasty troll has probably come for her at some point, so you can't see it. But I can see it because I followed her and she approved it. So I'll read what she put. She put, and I don't think it's in reference to people saying stuff about this tweet, but it's what she put. She put, I beg you all to stop making your game so big. I literally do not care about your 200,000 words instead of 150k, about traveling to 1,000 planets, about being sold on the idea that I need to spend 500 hours to complete everything in your game. She followed it up in another tweet, which was, I barely have time or energy to play more than 10 games I can put on my Game of the Year list for the website. Like, please, you're torturing me. Not to mention that workforce you don't do enough to protect, but you already know that. So Michel responded to this, and he just put, and very simply put, I promise you that we're not doing that with our team, which in itself can relate to a lot of the stuff which is like she said in there. And I kind of wanted to bring it into this because I feel like talking about that game, I played Oxenfree recently, as you suggested, and I think we'll come on to that maybe in the Spread the Art segment, because I've got a lot to say about that, and I'll keep it spoiler-free in that, because there's a lot to be said in that. But when I was playing that game, I yearned for those days. You know, it's only 7 years ago, like the Life is Strange 1 game came out, and Oxenfree's not that old, but like, you know, that kind of era of Telltale games, Life is Strange games, I miss those days. There were just simpler times in like some of the games that were being built, and like, you know, what Michel's saying with this is the kind of vibe I've got so far with what they're doing is kind of like hopefully in the same vein as Life is Strange 1, to create this kind of like very, you know, I always say to people, like, when you play Life is Strange 1, it is a AAA game because it's developed by Don't Nod, published by Square Enix, but you could probably put it in someone and they probably think it's an independent game. It's almost like AA. It's not really got the same AAA aesthetics of like God of War or a Horizon or something like that. So I kind of wanted to take this kind of to bring it into a conversation because, like, you know, the fact that he's kind of responded to her tweet saying that we're not going to go for that game where it's like, it's not 500 hours. We're not having 600 billion members of staff on there. We're not doing like, you know, 800,000 word scripts. We're not overworking people and creating crunch time. Like, I remember Naughty Dog getting absolutely swallowed up in the industry for doing crunch on The Last of Us Part 2. And it was like,
especially,
and it's like the little things. Like, it's like, I think with Last of Us 2, it's like, you know, that little rope mechanic moving around. I was like, well, I care more about people's mental health and safety than 1,800 devs doing this to work out a mechanic of how to swing a rope around, because that's not, it's visually aesthetically cool at first, but then after that, the novelty wears off after 10 minutes. So I'd rather play a concentrated game than to spend more time. And I think that this is the kind of the thing I like about their game. And I think with Michel kind of like talking about it, I wanted to bring it as a topic section and also news, because I think it gives us another little trinket of news about what we expect from the Montreal game.
Mm-hmm. I'm especially happy that Michel Koch is not, giving this 500-hour game, because we're in a stage of bigger is better in this world, right? Like especially American culture, bigger is better. We want more. But like, honestly, it's just like, who has the time anymore? Like, who has the time? Like, I don't have time. I'm writing an album. I don't have time right now. I'm even thinking about that because I currently started Elden Ring recently.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I know. I currently started it, but it's like, I don't have time to finish it. Like, I just saw a tweet. It's like, after 120 hours into Elden Ring, I finally beat it. I'm like, bro, I don't have 120 hours, dude. Like, I got a full-time job. I'm working on those things. I'm working on, we're doing this, like, I don't have time for that. And even if you're not working on artistic things, right? Like, we're older now. The gamers are older, so we have families, we have children, we have other responsibilities, we have volunteer work. It's just kind of like one of those things. Like, why are we making things bigger in that sense? But I'm glad Michel is getting things more concentrated and a lot more focused, because like what you said, Adnan, I more gravitate towards the games that I can just like play in a sitting, or maybe a weekend, or like just like kind of pick up and play. Like, I've been playing Fortnite a lot. It's like one of those things, like, I'll play 2 matches and I'm done. I'm good. That's it. Yep. But not like commitment,
I can only commit to like one seriously long game. And when I'm doing it, I have to have, it has to have I really appreciate it. Like Horizon.
One a year.
Yeah, like Horizon, I must have put at least probably, I think it was up to at least 90 hours or something to play it through. And the same with Final Fantasy VII Remake. They're the games that recently I put in a lot of time, but I just can't be. Was it Dying Light? It was like 500 hours. Is kind of like reference
Dying Light was an interesting case, because Dying Light 2, they came out and said, like, we have 500 hours in the game, and people like were just like, are you insane? And then they're like, whoa, wait, if you're a completionist, it's 500 hours. If you do like this plus all the side quests, it's like 250 hours. But if you just do the main quest, it's only 80 hours or something to that effect. But it's still like a long game, dude. I was just like, oh my God, no, I don't have time. I love Olivier Devrier. Oh my God, I always get his name wrong. Olivier Devrier, but he's the composer behind Plague Tale: Innocence, Remember Me, and also Dying Light. Love his music. Damn, that's a long game. I can't do it. Yeah.
I just cannot commit that much time to certain games. Like, I'm playing, at the minute, I'm literally playing in the background, which is Assassin's Creed 3 Remastered. And I'm just playing because and I'm playing it like slowly. I'm like, this is just boring. It's like, why is it so long? It's like, why is every game like this? That's from years ago as well.
As like a longtime Assassin's Creed fan, but a new Ubisoft protester, I'm not playing any of their games, but I will say, as a longtime Assassin's Creed fan, Assassin's Creed 3 was the most divisive Assassin's Creed in the entire series. Because like, I liked it. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Like, I didn't love it, but like a lot of people are just like, including lasers, like the whole like 4 Pillars community hate Assassin's Creed 3. Like, most people hate it. So like, yeah, it was a very divisive form of it.
To get back on Life is Strange a minute, but the twist was great in it, and I won't mention the twist because I know there's a lot of time that's passed, but the twist was very good at first. But then that is one of my favorite periods of history with the American Revolution. I just couldn't believe, I just didn't think it hit the mark. Like, Connor's like the most boring character on the planet. But like that game really threw me off. That was the point of my interest in the Assassin's Creed dwindled, and then it came back a little bit with Black Flag. I thought Black Flag was phenomenal. The gameplay on that is so good. When you're just on ships and fighting, it's so good. But my huge interest, because I was like following it religiously, the Ezio collection, all that, it fell off after that point. But I'm, like, in the context of why I brought up Assassin's Creed 3, I was like, I'm playing it in the spare time, but I'm not invested in it at the minute. I'm just like kind of like re-gauging and see if my opinion has changed on it. And it's the same with these kind of games with like I just want concentrated story games sometimes. You want to play it through, it's like 9 or 10 hours, and it's just been, you know, great all the way through. That's all I really want from a game, and that's what I'm expecting from the Don't Nod Montreal game. I don't want I don't expect it to be like an open world gigantic game of like 200 hours of like just walking around shops and seeing things like. There'll be another point I'll come on to as well later on when I talk about Oxenfree. I think this is where I'm very, you know, very strict with how I see games as well, compared to like maybe other mediums. But like, it's like him saying that makes sense. And in itself, let me go back to when we talked about the interview that Frederica did with Games Industry Bits about the recruitment balance of Don't Nod Montreal. So you had like an almost even balance. Because at the time, the Games Industry Biz said that the staff has grown over to 33 employees, 16 of them are women. So in between that, I don't know how many people have come and gone, as it is one of those things with the industry. You could be working on a game for a year and then you could leave in between the middle of development. And I know they're still hiring as well. Frederica's Twitter says that as well. It says Don't Nod Montreal.
By the way, happy hiring. 2-year anniversary to Don't Nod Montreal. Woo!
Indeed, we will come on to that. Is that a topic segment?
Nope.
Is it not?
No, I was surprised.
Oh no, that was maybe. I think that was meant to be a topic segment as well.
But I didn't say anything because behind the scenes, I just got a tooth pulled, so I'm on pain medication. So when I read it, I was like, okay.
Right. Yeah. So I was meant to include that into the show notes. We'll include it into this section then. It makes a bit more sense. But yeah, like. When she said that, like, you know, they are still recruiting. That's a relatively quote unquote small team so far. I'm expecting when they announce the game, they'll probably ramp up development a bit more and be like, we need this person to come in, this person to come in. It usually happens with studios.
Maybe me to come in to write some tracks. Yeah, like I get it. Yeah.
But like, no, because I went back to this interview because it's like when I was reading back through it and talking through it, it was like, you can see it's going to be a concentrated project. It's going to be very sharp, story driven, and it's not going to fill you in with that kind of filler content. And that's what I want. Like, you know, I remember playing Life is Strange, one of those 8-week release windows. They were really pretty much hit for the first 4 episodes. It was so great to kind of just get this really heavy 1.5 hour, maybe 2.5 hour episode where you could just like basically play it for the story, and then I'd walk away thinking, you know what, I've completed the game here. It's like done, dusted. I don't need to come back. And that's what I'm kind of hoping for. Like, I'm hoping for a little bit of exploration, but I'm hoping it's like I don't know, maybe like a 10 to 15 hour game. I'd be happy with that.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I remember when Spider-Man PS4 came out and everybody was disappointed it was 20 hours. I was like, 20 hours is beautiful. I love it. Like that. Perfect. 20 hours is like my max. When you say what, like after I release the album, I'm already going to take a break from music, and I'm already planning on Dragon's Dogma, because in that mindset, Dragon's Dogma is a commitment, and that's only a 35-hour game. But like 35 hours to me, it's just like, okay, I need some time away to actually play this. Yeah. So that's why I say like 20 hours is like the max, you know.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, like 8 to 20 hours is my strong mark. A 4-hour game, beautiful. I love 4-hour games, but like 8 to 20 hours, I'm like game set match, and like, oh yeah, I'll start that up. Let's go. But anything more than that, I'm just like, okay, I need some time for that, dude. It's like chill.
Yeah, I think maybe it is that kind of thing where we are getting older, so it's kind of like we're like, you know, I don't want like 900-hour game, and like a younger audience might be like, we want this kind of game. I'm just in that set where it's like I want to play it for like, it's like that Spider-Man PS4 game was like an unbelievable game for me, and it's like for 20 hours it's probably some of the best 20 hours I play, because you can just do other things in between that. So it's like I want a concentrated story that doesn't like fluff around too much, and then the rest, if I need to explore, I can explore, but it's not like, you know, the be all end all of the situation. So I'm generally I was kind of happy when I saw that tweet from him saying that, you know, we're not doing that with our team, where it's like we're not overworking our workers all this time, because like crunch culture is probably the worst in that industry as it is. You know, we're not overworking our workers, we're not having a massive team, we're not building a 500-hour game, we're not doing this. It's just like, you know, and in itself, the development, we would be waiting like 9 years for this game to come out if it was like 500 hours or something. Like, they've just set their studio up from the ground. And like, as you said, like, we'll bring that topic in where it's like, you know, 2-year anniversary for Don't Nod Montreal. The game's still like, wherever it's at, they've had to go through a pandemic. Like, they've moved the two of them together, Luke and Michel. you have to uproot your life and go somewhere else. You're settling in, then you're meeting other people, then you're trying to get like a new idea. Like, you know, it's so difficult, and not many developers have that opportunity like they have, where it's like you can start a new IP fresh and like have an opportunity. And they're probably very fortunate to have that with that studio, to give them the opportunity to say, like, you don't have to make another Life is Strange game. We won't work with Square Enix at this point. We'll let you make a new IP and go from that. So it's like it's all you know, it's all a mixed bag in terms of like how someone can feel. So in itself, yeah, it's like, it's cool. It's been 2 years since our studio has been founded. It's nice to kind of see like that, obviously, like VHS teaser that we got. We know which game theirs is going to be. Hopefully maybe next year we hear something from the game. I think most likely it'll probably be next year at some point we'll hear something about this game. And yeah, I'm as I said, I've always said I'm very generally excited for this game.
Yeah, no, like I'm so stoked for this, especially like you said, it's going to be more concentrated. And because it's coming from Michel, you know, his style is going to like bleed into this game, and we love Michel's style. So, you know, I think it's gonna be a banger game for us on the StrangeCast. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like we'll should we move on to our next topic then?
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And happy 2-year anniversary to Don't Nod Montreal, as
Happy 2 years.
we mentioned before.
Yeah.
So we will move into Life is Strange True Colors at this point. This was a nice little surprise from this. We are going to one of Katy Bentz's vlogs. So Katy has been sharing on her YouTube channel behind the scenes vlogs of her time working on the development of True Colors, which I recommend you check as well. It's really quite interesting to follow that she actually, I think you kind of like wouldn't have this idea at first, but then to do it whilst obviously how long she was working in the game, it's quite cool. But obviously, like, one of the things that was spotted and was shown on Reddit, and I will show you a picture now if you are watching the video version. There is me and Katy here. She's obviously... Imagine this. I hope she doesn't see this. So on here, she's in the room with Life is Strange True Colors, and we have a different logo look for Life is Strange at this point, which is Life is Strange 3, as it's obviously done very early in development. This game seems to have changed a lot in development.
Also, yeah, I'm just noticing in this picture, in the table below, is an Xbox 360 controller. Yeah,
indeed.
So I guess it was made for 360 originally, and then they booted it up to.
When was this? This game was in 2018 development, maybe 2018.
Yeah, no, the 360 was long dead.
That could be the dev kit.
Yeah, it's definitely the dev kit right there. Mm-hmm.
So like, they always have a dev kit. I think you're not meant to share dev kits like screen wise. You might be you meant to keep them quite fingy, as you will. So obviously we have Life is Strange 3 in this kind of like little, very old school Life is Strange 1 aesthetic look. Before Storm style has a record in between it for the IS. So I kind of wanted to bring this up, and yeah, you should go and check Katy's vlog out as well. Good to follow it. But I looked at that the first time and thought, I was like, why did you change it? Like, I think that's more closer to Life is Strange than True Colors is in a lot of aspects.
Yeah. I think there's a couple different reasons for it, because, I mean, one, you're not really, you know, Don't Nod, right? This is developed by Deck 9. So it's kind of weird for, like, Deck 9 to be the official Life is Strange 3. So it's a couple different things. Because, like, Don't Nod, right, with Michel and his squad, right, made Life is Strange, and then they made Life is Strange 2. But in between that, Deck 9 made Life is Strange Before the Storm. So it's kind of weird that, like, you know, the Michel and Luke and those squads, sorry, I'm still waking up from things. But, you know, to go over and say, like, oh, we are now Life is Strange 3 canonically, it's kind of weird. So I imagine there were some board meetings. Maybe.
Oh, that's pure board meetings and speak. We'll come on to the number in a minute, because I'm very torn on that in different aspects.
Are you talking about like the record in between?
Yeah, no, just the aesthetic of it, the logo, the design.
Oh yeah. Let me actually pull up True Colors, because I'm trying to think like off the top of my head. Life is Strange.
I really dug it. I thought this is what they should have gone for personally. I think obviously marketing, all those other upper executives have come in at this point, because the text has changed. I think they even text underneath it as well.
Yeah,
the menu
like this one's kind of like, I can see why they went with this choice. but not that choice, because again, like with that choice, you're trying to make Life is Strange your own thing. But then again, yeah, like you said, Before the Storm had that same aesthetic. So I don't know. It's kind of like one of those things where it's just like I imagine they're trying to make it their own title, their own IP, their own kind of genre, and yet they're sticking with the same kind of logo format with what we're seeing in Life is Strange 3. So I guess it's kind of like one of those things like, do we really want to stick with the same norm? Because I don't think Life is Strange True Colors really follows the same format as a true Life is Strange game. And I know we already talked about it. It follows the same beats as Life is Strange 1. But I think that Deck 9 is trying to do it their own way. And I think that's why they changed it to like I was trying to think of it off the top of my head. Now that I'm actually seeing what Life is Strange True Colors looks like, it's kind of like degraded. And there's more emphasis on the colors behind it, which is another reason. So like Life is Strange is not emboldened, but like the colors behind it are the focal point, more or less. So
yeah,
I get it.
I get it a bit because like I've obviously taken Katie out of this picture. It's like I get it because like actual Life is Strange 3, it does look very indie. It looks a little bit cartoonish. Yeah. With the game that they're setting, I kind of get it where it's funny, but I think eliminating this, for example, is a big disconnect from people from True Colors. I think like this is an example where True Colors is going to a completely new direction with Life is Strange. I don't know how fans are really going to feel about that, personally speaking. Because I feel like when I looked at it now, I saw a lot of people thinking like, people were divisive on this at first, the 3, which I'll come on to in a moment. But the actual logo, I thought the logo was quite cool with the emphasis on the record label. And whilst it looks a little bit maybe like a kiddie kind of thing, kiddie thing for most people, like outsiders, I think it looks good. I was like really kind of cool on this. I was like, what a shame.
Well, like also I get why they took out the record, because think about this, right? Okay, what is the Life is Strange 2 logo? Sorry, Life is Strange 2 logo, because the logo is a patch, right? Yes,
that on.
Yeah, so think about it this way. I guess music is kind of a thing, because like, okay, Life is Strange 1, the butterfly is or not even butterfly, but the Polaroid, right? Polaroid is like a huge part of the story, right? Like she looks at the picture, she goes back in time, right? With Life is Strange Before the Storm, it was the graffiti, right? The graffiti was like the big thing, and it does play a huge role in the story, right? Where she's like leaving her mark. Life is Strange 2, of course, with the backpack patch, because they're on the journey, they're collecting patches, it's on the backpack. But like the record in 3, does music really play that huge of a role into that? Whereas
I'd say so.
It's kind of, I guess so. It is a theme into it, but I guess it's like her neurodivergency that's more of the big pickup in that.
Well, it depends again on how much has changed in development since then, because I've always said it's a bit like...
I guess so, yeah.
I seem to learn so much about how much has changed in development with this. The record store seems to have more of an emphasis. Like, I think they're letting on... I think they had like a really big place for that. And it is as well, like there's an entire DLC built around it where you're in the record store.
It's true, yeah.
And Steph's entire like reputation in Haven Springs is built around being in, a record shop owner, like, working in the record shop. And they have the entire like the festival as well, where they're playing music. I think music was meant to be a big part. I think something's obviously changed here. That they dropped the music kind of identity out of it, because as you said, Life is Strange 1 has the emphasis on this. Life is Strange 2 has that one on this one. Captain Spirit, Before the Storm has one on this. For each of the logo iterations, there's always something that focuses on it. And I think music was meant to be on this one, but this seems to have kind of been like,
yeah, like I guess it had to do with, I don't know, board meetings again. But like, yeah, I guess it would have been, one, it would have been a more emphasis on the albums, and then maybe like it would have like taken her back, because Alex did mention in one of her storylines where buying albums with her brother meant a lot to her. Like they just saved up money, like any kind of money, just to buy any album to listen to. And even in a childhood memory, she's listening to an album to escape from some household abuse. So it's kind of, yeah, I guess it would have been more of an emphasis in the original development, especially on when we're going into that number that's onto it. So I'll let you go to that. But yeah, I guess it's like a huge development. Yeah.
So the number is very divisive. I personally think they should have kept the number in the entry.
Yeah.
I think they should have been called Life is Strange 3: True Colors, because I'm always torn about the number debate with people.
Yeah.
People always say like they do it with like Final Fantasy is a bit more of a rare case where it's like you can do an anthology and it's like people always say like, oh, you know, do I have to play the first 15 before playing it? It's like, no, not necessarily. And I don't understand whether there's like a market study or something that's proven this, where it's like numbers kind of like change people's perceptions. But I think it causes more confusion in the timeline. If you give people like the option to play all these games in order without knowing them, like Life is Strange: True Colors, Before the Storm, Captain Spirit, Life is Strange 1 and 2, you probably look at someone and someone would be like, where do I start from this? And to kind of give you an example of this, like here's one. This is the Rambo franchise in order.
Yeah.
So this is the Rambo franchise in order from film, television.
Good God.
First Blood is 1982. Then it's 1985's Rambo First Blood Part 2.
Yes.
Then 1988, Rambo 3.
Yes.
Then 2008, Rambo.
Yep.
And 2019, Rambo Last Blood.
Which
and
is
it's similar with...
Don't never watch that Last Blood, no.
Yeah. So like that's in itself like one of those. And again, I could do the Friday the 13th franchise, you know, I think like Jason dies like in one of them, it's like you look at the numbers, it makes no sense.
Kingdom Hearts,
yes, there is a
like,
I personally am
putting that in order, Kingdom Hearts.
You'd be surprised how many people wouldn't get together. Like I just prefer that, and maybe I'm gonna bring my plug in here. Metal Gear Solid 1, Metal Gear Solid 2, Metal Gear Solid 3, Metal Gear Solid 4, Metal Gear Solid 5. How is that hard? They all have you know, but except for one, they all have like a subtitle to put onto them. And it's like, why can't you just do that? I would have just preferred Life is Strange 3, True Colors.
And I understand why they did Life is Strange Before the Storm without a number, because it is prequel and it was a spin-off. Like that's of course a spin-off. Whereas Life is Strange 3, I'm trying to remember back in True Colors, did they ever reference Seattle? I mean, besides Katy, you know, did they ever, Arcadia Bay, I mean, did they ever mention, I guess they did. They mention it through Steph. They don't like, people don't mention it, but it's central to Steph's story where they mention Arcadia Bay. The entire Wavelengths DLC has characters from Arcadia Bay. And again, we're going back to that, like with the DLC, it was a whole emphasis on that record store, right? And that record store had connections through Arcadia Bay. So once again, it's kind of like, how much changed in development that it's no longer a third entry into the Life is Strange game. It's now a spin-off, essentially, you know? Like that's a weird thing to think about, yeah.
Yeah, the development. I kind of get as well why maybe they didn't want to do it canon, like in terms of Life is Strange 3 True Colors, because like if they do a certain ending from Life is Strange 1, they don't want to make it canon per se. But I think like for me, I would have preferred them just calling it Life is Strange 3 True Colors. I know people who just call it I've completed Life is Strange 3. They just call it Life is Strange 3 because that's what it is. It's a mainline entry at this point. It's not Captain Spirit. It's not Before the Storm. It's not a spin-off. It's not a prequel. It's not anything like that. So it's like I would have preferred them just and I prefer they would have kept it a number. And again, I don't know where this kind of like I always had like this kind of like difference with people like marketing. It's like if it's a number entry, it doesn't really matter for me. If you want to watch Star Wars: A New Hope is the start of the franchise, essentially, like you know, in that episode 4 slot where it actually originally originated from, not the prequel side. But I don't know. I kind of wish they would have kept Life is Strange 3 True. It's not the end of the world, but I was more disappointed when I saw the actual logo design. I was kind of like.
Yeah, it's more interesting than anything else. It's more of just like, this is what development is. It's a lot of changes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of changes, a lot of big wigs coming in and throwing their kind of like authority around, a lot of other things that happen in development. But yeah, I thought I'd just bring that up. Do you have anything else to add?
Gotta love when corporate comes in and changes out all of your plans, so...
Indeed. And yeah, do check out Katy's vlogs. They're on her YouTube channel. They are definitely a nice behind the scenes look if you are interested in True Colors. We will move on to our next topic. And here we go again. So Life is Strange Twitter account, 30th of June, tweeted out that Life is Strange Remastered Collection, a patch released fixing issues regarding solar flare corruption for PlayStation, graphical screen tearing at the edge of screen for PS4 PS5, Xbox localization issues for PS5, and Lighthouse Select issues on Episode 5 and Xbox collectible mode. Put in another tweet, the teams are still working hard on fixes for Life is Strange before the Storm Remastered. We'll have updates soon, and also a link to report any issues that are there. Adam, it is currently July now that we are recording this episode, and we are still talking about the Remastered Collection.
This game was delayed, and we're still talking about like inherent
fixes,
broken systems. Yeah, it's
and no Switch version.
This is a wild thing to talk about, where this should have been a separate release, but instead was an afterthought and an attachment to an Ultimate Edition, but then was sold later, but then delayed. And now when it was delayed, it was completely broken. And now we're in July, and it's still like we're talking about screen tearing on this.
It's a mess. It's a mess, man. Go back and watch some of the clips on YouTube. They have those moments that we were talking about. People have uploaded like doing the 4K full movie screens. And I clicked on one of them when I was trying to find the thumbnail for Kylie's episode, and I was like, saw the Dana Awards like rings flashing where she's in the room with Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Mr. Keaton, not Michael Keaton. Mr. Keaton. Michael Keaton. Mr. Keaton, where she's in the thing and her like rings are her diamonds, whatever, her earrings are flashing, and you can't see the static from it. I was like, oh my god! I was like, how was this game released? It's like it's not even on Switch yet. You said it yourself in a StrangeCast episode. He's like, if this is what we got on Xbox and PlayStation, what is the Switch version like? And the fact that we have not seen a Switch version, and it's very quiet.
We have no release date. We have no information. It's just we'll release it sometime this year. Who knows? Oh boy. And it's just like, oh my god, dude. It's wild because like usually at this point in development, there's going to be issues. All releases are going to have issues, and that's a fact. But like usually at this stage, like on a game like this where it's a remaster, not just a remaster, but kind of like oh, here's a collection that you can have, like it kind of like an afterthought. Usually at this stage, you're looking at like patches in terms of just like, oh, we fixed like quality of life, performance issues and all that. Very minor things, right? Like all games get updates, but this is just kind of like QA testing. It's wild, man. I don't know what to think. Like, still don't buy this game just yet. Holy crap.
I have no issue with developers fixing any issues in the game.
Sure.
But this is an example, again, where the industry is heading to that trend where it's like, we'll put something out and then we'll put like loads of like, it's almost like getting a new build house, buying it, and there's like so many issues with it. And then you're finding it when you've discovered it. And then they're like, oh, yeah, we'll just try and put a bit of cement to kind of like protect this kind of layer of it. The damage has been done. And same with, as I said, this could have been, this could have been in marketing. You could have like packaged Max and Chloe are like the staple figures of this franchise. They are the ones, if you go on Reddit, every single post is about Max and Chloe pretty much. Like they are the main bulk for people. And what I don't get is like they could have done a special edition with it. They could have done physical releases. It would have sold loads. You could have had like loads of time. Just do it on the 10th anniversary. Like why are you doing it like randomly and that and putting it as an afterthought with the Life is Strange True Colors to like kind of sell it? That was what it was. It feels like that now, more thinking about it now. But it's like solar flare corruption, like screen tearing. It's like, how is this not being dealt with? The game came out in January, like, early this year, as you said, after delays.
Yeah, I think February.
February.
It was supposed to release on like September or October.
September, it might have come out with the True Colors, I think. Then it got pushed back to February or January this year. I think it's February.
Yeah, I think it was February.
And as I said, we've had no mention of the Switch version either, so take that as you will. But I'm just kind of like shocked that we're bringing this up, and it always feels like we're bringing this up to kind of like be like, oh my god, how is this kind of issue? It is a big issue because like they really botched this, and they botched it big time because like when people were watching things, and then like we had that massive review episode about Life is Strange Remastered, and we talked about much of it was built around Michel's tweets in terms of like what he was kind of giving input. It was like, why don't you just ask him to be a consultant on the game? Just like you could have put his name in the credits, be like consultant Michel or Raul, and put their names on it. You know how much credibility that adds to something. Like, oh my god, like it's just you put so much credibility towards it.
Credits in the first game. Like we didn't even get roll credits. That's the wild part, dude. Holy crap.
And it was weird because
So
that I didn't have an issue with them removing it and putting it into the main menu screen. But what I had an issue with was when I played Before Storm Remastered and all the credits were at the end of each episode. So it's like, hang on a minute. It's like, why have you taken them all off of one game and then put them in the other game? And then on top of that, they had Ashly Burch spelled wrong in Before Storm's credits.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's so bad, dude. How do you do that?
It's like, what is going on here? It's like, what is going? Like big GTA Definitive Edition vibes of like little bugs and messes and everything else happening.
So yeah, it came out February 1st. So we are now. I was just counting the months, and we're now officially half a year after it released. Half a year, 6 months. Because I was like thinking, like, oh, I'll play it like 6 months after release, see how it is. I'm like, that's now. It's now.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I wouldn't even recommend it in this state to people. I just wouldn't recommend it to anyone. If in this current iteration of state, I would not recommend it to anyone. I would say to wait until they've as patched it as humanly possible at this point.
Because I would say I would I'm going to play it again, but then again, like we talked about on our show that I didn't really face a lot of bugs, not like PlayStation and PC did. So I would wait until Adnan plays it again and then say that like when it is, because like I didn't really get a lot on the Xbox. I really didn't get a lot, but like I did get the last episode was just horrendous. Oh my god! And then there were some times where like the entire audio cut out, and I'm like, what is going on?
Was it the stair scene that you had that?
There was a lot. There was at least like at least as far as I can remember, at least 5 important scenes where the audio completely cut out, including where they're on the beach and like the storm is coming and the audio just completely cuts off. And I'm like, is it my TV? It's like, no, it's the game. Yeah.
You had the audio cut on Dave Madsen and Joyce dancing downstairs.
Yes, I got that cut out.
I remember that.
It's just like the music's cut off and like, oh, let's dance, and you just hear their footsteps. I'm like, oh my god, what is going on right now, dude? Oh my god, but I don't know, and I get it. It is hard to put out a game. It is very difficult. If I can give myself a self plug again, blah, blah, blah. But like even just writing a simple 6-track EP right now, like the difficulty of it, making sure everything's lined up and the production is right, and now I'm putting in voice actors into it. Like I am just like I am on a limb. I'm like, I just want to release it, just screw it all. But like that is just a very minor scale. So I understand that game development is very, very, very difficult. I understand that. But at the same time, going back to my example, I'm not putting out a really crappy EP with just like a lot of mess ups and not something I'm happy with, but which is why delays happen. I don't know. It's kind of like, I get that it's hard. I understand that. I'm not trying to say your job is easy, but this is just ridiculous, dude.
Yeah, I don't have any issues with devs or anything like that. It's just like, why put it out in the state that it's like, why is it even out? Like, as I said, you could have sold this even more money like later down the line and got people invested in it. They would have picked it up. They would have like all kinds of stuff. It's frustrating. It's just frustrating. And it's just like, because you pay full price for these. I paid full price for these, and I'm like sitting at the end of it. I was like, these are just horrific in every way, shape, or form. And like, I had good things from them, but then there's just like so many other plaguing issues that if I can't sit there for like 8 hours and enjoy the game that I really, really enjoyed, and it's just got littered with bugs, like, what am I supposed to do? What can I say to you? Should I say to you, buy it? Obviously, the answer is going to be no.
No. Yeah, no, it's a little ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. It's just absolutely bollocks, I guess you would say.
Bollocks.
Yeah. But
oh, jeez.
That's all I have to say about it. I am going to replay it when I get the time, just out of like curiosity's sake. Like, how is it now? Because I haven't really played it since we last played it. Like I've jumped into like a collectible mode just to like see how the 4K 60 FPS looked. That's pretty much all I've done. But like, I've been so busy that I haven't really touched it. But I am planning on like replaying at least one episode sometime soon just to see how things are, But man, we'll see.
Yeah, I'm not going to touch it until they fix it all. I have no interest in doing that. I got the PS4 version of Life is Strange 1. I've got BTS on Life is Strange
That's the
on
thing.
PS4.
It's not even a next gen version. It is last.
This is my argument from the beginning. It was like it's the same. It's on the same platform that it was released. How, like, you know, at least if they were going to do like The Last of Us 1 where it got remastered, they moved it onto a different console. Like this is the exact same console.
Say, at least Last of Us like is getting a PS5 release. Like at least they're doing that. You know?
And then on top of that, they made a mess up like when they put that loading screen in between Life is Strange 1 at the beginning, which the Don't Nod team did so much effort to take it out of the PS3 version. It's like, why is this being added into the PS4 version when you're on the same software?
Yeah.
Like,
it's bullocks. That's all we have to say about it. Just absolute bullocks.
Yeah, it's absolute that. Should we move on to our last news topic?
I think so.
Okay, so a nice little bit of news as well. This comes from OG Chloe herself, Ashly Burch. 1st of July, she went on Twitter, wrote a nice little thread, which starts with, "Hi, so I'm queer. One of those old-fashioned pansexuals you may have heard of. Probably not a shocker, like half the characters I play are members of the Rainbow Fam." And then a tweet thread that goes on, "Nevertheless, I hemmed and hawed about whether or not an official coming out was something I needed or wanted to do, particularly because I feel like a poser. I've been dating a man for 5 years, pretty young gay of me. I also have always liked the idea of that coming out isn't something I should feel obligated to do. Straight people don't have to announce their hetero-ness. It's taken as default. In my ideal world, everyone should have to wonder if everyone is hitting on them, regardless of gender. Would it make more dating? Sorry. Confuse that. Would it make dating more confusing? Probably, but like in a cute queer way. Sorry. Anyway, given the state of everything, my attitude towards coming out has changed. It feels important to me to do it for reasons I can't really explain. Just feels like time. So there you go. I'm queer. 1 day late for Pride Month. I catch you all on the next one. You're all freaking sweet and pies. Give yourself a treat, you sweeties." So that was a long, extensive thread from Ashly Burch announcing that she's queer a day after Pride Month as well. It came out of nowhere, and was expected in terms of, like, as she said, like the characters that she's played. I think like majority of them have been like that. Obviously, Chloe Price being a prevalent one of that. But yeah, I'm happy for Ashly Burch. I remember reading her essay about her. Was it her husband or her boyfriend at the time who died?
Oh, geez. Yeah, no, I didn't read that.
When she was making... Yeah, she talked about it for Life is Strange 1.
Wow.
You take over, I'll tell you now. Let me just quickly... watch this.
Like, I love what she said about that, where just, like, it's kind of a struggle for her, whether it's, like, do you really have to come out? Because I like the one point she made. Straight people don't have to announce their hetero-ness. Like, I never had to come out as straight, you know, because it's kind of like she said, it's taken as default. Like, oh yeah, I'm straight. So it's kind of like, why should people who are queer, right, like, have to announce it? Like, is it really an obligation? Like, should everybody just accept everybody for whoever they are? So I like what she said also, like, in an ideal world, everybody should wonder if everybody's hitting on them. It's kind of like, I get it. That's why she made a threat. It's kind of like a struggle where it's just kind of like, do I have to come out? Or should people just, have a default of like, hey, you are what you are. It doesn't really matter. And I can understand like the kind of struggle. Like, why does she have to go on Twitter to announce it? Can she just be Ashly Burch? But like, she made it known, and she'll catch it in next Pride Month. But I can get why that's like a huge mental struggle going on right now. So
I found that essay. It's on her website, which is it's called "The Boy in the Well." It was originally commissioned by A Profound Waste of Time. So it talks about her boyfriend, how she found out her boyfriend died, and connecting to Life is Strange and the experience from that. So I'll just read you the first excerpt from the beginning part, which was, it was around 8 a.m. when I got the call that David died. I remember because 8 a.m. used to be early for me. I didn't know why his mother would call so early. It's funny to remember that the time, but not what she said. Was it David died? David is dead. I don't remember what I said to her either. I remember screaming. I remember falling to my knees. I remember the way the air felt, that the light was so bright, too bright, I couldn't see. I remember not being able to see. It was December 20th, 2012, 3 days before David had turned 30 years old. And then she talks about Life is Strange. Life is Strange isn't like most games. Its protagonist, Max, is a thoughtful, empathetic teenage girl with aspirations of becoming a photographer. Its narrative centers on her relationship with her best friend, Chloe, a defiant, cocksure girl. Quietly nursing deep emotional trauma, it addresses issues of consent, drug use, suicide, bullying, peer pressure, sexuality, grief. I didn't know any of these when I auditioned for it, of course. And then she breaks down into a really, really interesting essay. Like I said, I've read it a long time ago. It really makes you feel for it as well, because, like as I said, it was really, really hard for her. I imagine, like, unbelievable kind of way, which we'll never really feel for. Thingy. So, like, for her to come out, she can say what she wants. And like what you were saying about, yeah, I get the thing with coming out, because I've always been like, why does someone need to come out and say something? But because of the platform she has, I think it's more helpful the people around her to see it as well, because I think, like, you sometimes feel like that if someone who's a really big person who's doing it, whether it's Elliot Page, Ashly Burch, any person announcing something, it's not necessarily a, you know, and again, she kind of addresses this in her thread where it's like, I don't want to be a poser, but I think because of the platform you have and the message you can send to a generation of people, I think that's why you kind of have to, you feel maybe morally obligated to do it, because I think, like, because of that responsibility, you can essentially change someone else's life, can't you? Because if they don't see it, they'll never say something about it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, if you feel like you need to come out, you know, like, and Ashly Burch is encouraging that. Like, if you feel that the need to come out publicly, if that will help you, then you need to do it. If you don't feel the need to come out, nobody should force you. Like what Ashly Burch also said in the thread, like, is it obligatory or is it just something for me? Do I have to come out in June or can I come out in July? It's one of those things. It's just like, do whatever will help you the most. You know, it's like, if you don't want to come out, it doesn't mean you're hiding it. It just means, like, why it's not obligatory. Like, I don't have to. Like, in an ideal world, everybody should just be like, oh, you hitting on me? Now, this is the life of every white male in America. It's like, are you hitting me right now? It's just like literally anybody. It's like, you talking to me? You hitting on me? But yeah, no, like, I get what you're saying. Just like, if you want to come out, awesome. If you don't, it's not your obligatory duty to come out to people. So good on Ashly, always being a hero on Twitter.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's, as I said, like, it will have a big shockwave for a lot of people in terms of, and I mean shockwave in terms of positivity, like sending that kind of message. I don't think, like, if you think like you'd already assume that Ashly Burch was queer or gay or whatever, that's not really the important point from it. I think you just kind of pass by, but you let other people see it, because it'll be more resonant for them, and it's good for them to kind of like see someone who has now established herself as very much as a role model for a lot of people, having played very, very prolific characters in the industry. It's kind of just like, it's such a big message for her to send to a lot of people, and it will just, as I said, like, when you see something and you experience it, then you're like, oh, you know, it'll change your life. You know, if you see a black character in a TV show where 20 years ago on Friends you never would have seen a black main character in there, then, you know, it'll change your life. You know, you grow up being thinking, oh yeah, there actually are black people who hang out with white people. You know, and you might think, oh, you might laugh at me, like, oh, you know, people do mix. It isn't always prolific like that. Some people just stay in their community groups and like mix with them. But if you see like 6 high school friends, or like 6 people, one of them black, mixing with other people who are white, you're like, oh, there is, you know, you do take a lot of things from TV and other mediums and stuff. So I think it's always helpful for, I think this is good. And I'm glad for her as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. That's all I have to say.
Okay. Yeah. As I said, it's not a huge topic, but kudos to Ashly. We'll move away from that. So we'll move into our main topic, which is going to be that in June, and I completely forgot about this until I saw it recently, which was that the awesome adventures of Captain Spirit turned 4 years old. So our topic is going to focus on more like, you know, remembering Captain Spirit, and think about if Square Enix missed the opportunity to do more spin-off kind of games like Captain Spirit, and even like having one in the lead up to True Colors, which I think it should have done, but we'll come on to that in a little bit. Captain Spirit, this is wild. I remember this because this was when had I come back into the industry? I'd come back into the industry at this point. I'd left it, did my MA, came back into it.
No idea of any like each other's existence at all.
Exactly. That's wild. Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I'd come back into the industry at this point. So I'd come back after my MA and I was doing it freelancing. And I remember like we were covering E3 live, and it was like that music hits like, you know, Spirit of my soul, you know, it's playing, and I was like, The minute they showed the artwork, I was like, that is Life is Strange. I was like, that is like, no, like, how do you know? I was like, that is Life is Strange. I know it's going to be. And then obviously quickly cuts into that trailer where it shows like, a spin-off story in the Life is Strange universe. And then obviously it was released as well very soon after. It was just cool, like how it was packaged, and then obviously Don't Nod being there for it as well. Like it was their game. And there was a lot for like Captain Spirit. I think it's underrated. I think it's not even talked about as much as it should be. It's kind of like almost this forgotten kind of thing. It's great. It's such a little nice little chunky of a game to come out that supplements Life is Strange 2's release in 2018, and you kind of get this kind of like a vibe. Because I remember playing it, I was like, it shows the trailer with Chris, and he's like trying to do like his powers. It's like, oh, this is his powers, and he can blow up stuff. You can do this and this and that. And then obviously we get a nice twist at the end where it's like, hang on a minute. It's like, does he have powers? It's like,
yeah.
I remember when I finished it the first time. I remember finishing it, and he's like floating, teleconnect floating. And I was like, hang on a minute. I was like, hang on a minute. And then it obviously cuts that thing where it's like, Daniel and Sean on the driveway, like looking at them. I was like, I was like, something not right here.
There's so many questions. That was a great ending for it. Just like it left so much. Like you didn't know if it was Chris. You didn't know if it was the two boys that were unnamed. At the backyard, who are they? What's going on? So, I absolutely. And again, like I said this before in the show, I loved Captain Spirit because I related to Chris's character a lot. I related to me growing up with a dad like that, and it just really hit me. And I was hoping that Chris was.
This really upset you, didn't it? This is one that really hit you, didn't it? Where it's like you wanted Chris to be the main character of the game.
Because again, like I related to him, just like little blonde boy walking around playing pretend with an abusive father, but it was great. But I don't like, that's the thing. Like I rip on Life is Strange 2 a lot, and now that I know that Luke is watching, I'm not gonna be like, I put on a character, it's like I'm not trying to say that like Life is Strange 2 is the worst game I've ever played.
Great game.
We'll see. But
it's not the best.
But no, like I enjoyed Life is Strange 2. Put it this way. I'm okay. As much crap I put on Life is Strange 2 in my character of just like, oh, Life is Strange 2 is bad. I'm glad that they went with the decision of Sean and Daniel versus Chris. And I think Chris's story is very well summed up in Captain Spirit. It's very well summed up where he has a father, and like we got all the questions answered about his dad, where his mom is, how it related to Life is Strange 1. It kind of wrapped itself pretty nicely. So I'm not like upset we didn't get more out of Chris. And I'm glad we got the perspective of Mexican Americans in like America, like the racism that's involved. So I'm glad we took that route instead of Chris. I want to put that out there. I'm glad. But I related a lot to Chris, so it's like, dang.
It was like, because obviously where it's I think like it is like the trailer's built on like we've all been kids, we all feel like kids, and I think there's this really really heartfelt story in between where it's like Chris is like the most innocent child ever. You can see it the way he acts, and then you have a unbelievably great performance for me from Nick Apostolidis as Chris's dad. Is he called Charles? Charles Erickson?
Charles.
He's called Charles Erickson. Yeah, Charles. And where he's like drinking, and then he's like questioning as a kid, and then he has that like kind of back clip about him, like oh I want to drink, my wife's died. It's like that kind of like grief about the fatherly kind of relationship with a child, like that loss of someone, and in itself as well, just that concentrated part. Life is Strange's theme is without mothers mainly at this point, with like in terms of the main characters, like the father is always the kind of like character that's there. The mother's always usually sometimes more or less missing. Obviously, True Color's a bit different, but the emphasis is always like the father figure. It's like with Spielberg films, all of them focus on the mothers. The fathers are always missing from all his films for a reason.
Oh, geez.
Think about E.T. Think about Jurassic Park. Think about yeah. So it's a big part of Spielberg's childhood growing up. He was like raised by his mom. Dad relationship was very different, so he cuts them out. Like there's intentionally father figures that are missing from key films of Spielberg's catalog, and it's like with Life is Strange 1 and 2 as well, especially like there's that kind of missing figures of like big adult figures in your life. Like you lose William Price, Max's parents are never shown. It's like there's a kind of emphasis on that. So it always like playing Captain Spirit always felt like it felt so concentrated. It brought everything like almost a full mainline Life is Strange narrative game into like a streamlined 20-30 minute experience. And kind of just like going around there playing as like this kid who's like got all these great figures as well. Obviously, a shout out to my boy Mantroid as well. You know,
Mantroid,
big love. Like
that killed me, dude. When we got the reveal of like is it Mantroid or Man? Is it Troid? I couldn't remember the other street name. Yeah.
Yeah, 1.5 hours.
Mantroid. So it's a 2-hour game. I just Googled HLTB. By the way, big shout out to howlongtobeat.com. Oh, you're a lifesaver. Love you. Whoever's watching it. But yeah, no, like that was a huge emphasis because like he made a character that was directly correlated to his childhood trauma. I didn't mean to say drama, but his childhood trauma. So that was a beautiful story. Yeah, no, like it's just a 1.5 to 2 hour story. That wrapped itself pretty nicely. Yeah, no, I loved it. I absolutely loved Captain Spirit, of course.
Yeah, it was just because it was like the way it was set up. It kind of like came out the spin-off. It was like available for free for download. You just play it. It has implications on Life is Strange 2. I remember just playing like all those kind of scenes, like when you fight against Mantroid, like the manifestation of what those characters are representing, and then kind of like that kind of do that really dramatic scene towards the end of it when he confronts Charles, and Charles is just an absolute nasty piece of shit to Chris, and you see him like run out, and he runs up to the treehouse, and he's like, "Oh, you got fought," and then he gets caught by it, and it's like that was the twist. Where I was like, "Hang on a minute," because I was like pretty convinced at this point. I was like, "It's going to be Chris is going to be the main character in some kind of way," and like that we're seeing the early indication of his powers of like this is what it's going to be, but it's not that. And it was like, because I felt like they were kind of building up to it. Cause like during the entire like episode, it was like you see him try to pretend that he has superpowers. I was like, then he eventually unlocks the superpower with like an awakening of like this has happened, but it actually wasn't. Then I was like, you see Sean and Daniels, I'm like, right. But I just think it was probably one of the more interesting turning points in Life is Strange series, and I think it was just so well done to kind of drop this kind of like teaser out there. It gave fans so much out of it. You know, you had theories, you had like all these kind of like things that people were looking at, the scenes, were trying to dissect any Easter eggs in there, and just like pure entertainment leading up to Life is Strange 1's Life is Strange 2's release in September, I believe it was. So I was really hugely sold on Captain Spirit, and when it turned 4 years old, it was like wild. I was like, oh wow, I was like, this is crazy that it's been 4 years for that. Feels weird that I've spoken to both of them as well, like both Nick and Chandler. That feels very strange now I'm thinking about it. I always have that when I play Life is Strange games now. I go back to them and I'm like, yeah, when I'm playing, it's like, there's Hannah, it's like, I've spoken to her. I've spoken to I've spoken to Nick Schreiner. I've spoken to this person. I've spoken to Joe Ockman. It's like, Joe feels sometimes like, I'm like, oh my God. By the way, here's one. Do you know Joe Ockman, who played William Price?
Yeah. Well, I don't know him, but like...
No, but you've seen him, yeah. Because like, I was watching it a year ago, and Sabrina the Teenage Witch was on there on Amazon, the old one, Melissa Joan Hart, classic series, absolute banger of a series.
The only one that matters, yeah. Got you.
Yeah, absolutely. The Netflix one's completely trash compared to it. But I was watching it, and there's that episode. Do you remember when Sabrina's aunt, Hilda, buys a clock shop?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait.
And the guy who...
Holy crap.
The guy who she buys a clock shop off of is Joe Ockman. I was watching it. I was like, thinking, I was like, yeah, genuinely sitting there. I was watching the scene, like, and I was like watching it, and I was like, he's bald, like white hair, like a cap on. I was like watching it. I was like, do I know you? And I was like, that, and I literally got up, and I was like, no, and like, because Amazon has its live X-ray player thing with it as well. It tells you who's in it. And I clicked on it. It said Melissa Joan Hart and Joe Ockman. I was like, you in my childhood. Like Joe has like he has so many credits. He has unbelievable amount of credits, and his career speaks volumes for itself. But so I was like, oh my God. So it's like, damn. I always have this thing when I play Life is Strange games. Like, I can't like unhear the voices now. Like I'm going to play True Colors soon again. It's like I can't unhear Erica Mori. I can't unhear Katy Bentz. I know it's just like it's one of those where you feel those kind of things. But on Captain Spirit though, you know, props to Chandler for his performance. I thought it was a really lovely performance from him as a young kid. Same with Nick as well. Great performance. Great performance. Like it was like Frank but less Frank.
Yeah, a little less.
And then. Yeah, and I liked when he played Charles, and like in itself, it was just that little concentration gap of like that kind of game. Because what I like about it as well, that they had that kind of thing. It was like these things carry over to the main game as well. So it kind of like gave you that little like, ooh, you know, we can, you know, if I complete Captain Spirit and I go into the mainline game, then we can get there. Because obviously, like I was thinking, like, where does this integrate? We get to episode 2 and it's like, here we go. Here comes Chris in, here comes Sean in, here comes Daniel in. And I think that was quite interestingly woven in that part of the game where we put it into with those characters as well, like Sean, Daniel, the kind of, it helped with the immersion of it personally. It gave me Walking Dead 400 Day vibes during season 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I can see that.
Not as good because season 2 was okay and they didn't really do much with the 400 Day characters, but I had that kind of vibe. Whereas I like that they released some kind of like separate spin-off expansion, whatever it was, and then you have this kind of like it can integrate into the main game. And it's like I was like when I saw Chris again, I was like, oh, I was like, there he is, there's Captain Spirit. It's like love it.
No, yeah. Wait, so are we jumping into like the main topic question? Like, shall we?
Unless you got anything else to add.
No, I just love Captain Spirit. That's all.
Yeah, I was a big fan of his toys. I was really invested in those characters.
Mm-hmm. No, I loved like how the little tease of his powers, right? Like every time they're like teasing, but like it's like turn on the TV, but he's got the remote behind his back.
Yeah. It was always constant. Even when they did that, I just did not get it until the end of that moment when he actually starts levitating. I was like, oh, I was like, he hasn't got the power. I was like, he hasn't got the powers. I was like, I've been completely duped here a little bit. Right. But no, like I said, great little expansion. Yeah, so you can go into the other topic if you want part of that.
Yeah, like should Square Enix do more spin-offs like Captain Spirit to lead up a life, specifically lead up to a Life is Strange game? Should there be a spin-off game for a Final Fantasy game? No, because it's already difficult enough to keep up with everything. So yeah, no, like, and that's the thing. I always think of Captain Spirit as like the EP to the Life is Strange LP. So again, going into music a little bit. The reason why a lot of artists generally put out EPs versus LPs, like long plays, an EP is a shorter version of the album, and it gives more of an emphasis, a very structured emphasis. You don't have to do it all the time, but it gives them more of an experimental sound. It's not as quite of a commitment as putting out a full-length album. So a lot of artists will do this just to experiment with a certain sound, maybe share a story that they have in their mind that's not fitting an entire album. It's just something that's more concentrated, something to put out a little bit easier and to experiment with something. And I think that's what like Captain Spirit is to me. It's an EP. They had an experiment to test, right? More not with a story, but with the actual gameplay of Life is Strange Captain Spirit, with the timing, right? You have to get to this choice in time or else that choice is no longer there. Or like the episode will end once Charles drinks himself to death, right? So like you're watching the whiskey bottle go down and down and down. And that implemented itself to Life is Strange 2, but I think they made this shorter game just to experiment with that sort of gameplay mechanic where it's just like a timed choice. You can only make this choice in a timed setting. So I think that's like really the key here is like, should you do more spin-offs? I think, yeah, like obviously I want more spin-offs like this, especially because Captain Spirit was free. Yeah, it was free.
It's so good. Now you wouldn't. You probably get like now it'd be like $12.99 with like NFT options as well. Like that's what we'd get in nowadays market. It's only been 4 years, but that's what it'd be worth.
Yeah, no, yeah. But yeah, no, I would love free 2-hour spin-offs. But yeah, I think it's more of an emphasis on like experiment with something before you put out the full product, and I think that's always a good idea to like just do a little experimentation. You put something out, you enjoyed it, and you're like, oh, let's have the public have this entirely for free. And I think it's a good idea to do something like that. Just put out your EP, put out something that you're experimenting with just for the public to see.
Yeah, I think that this kind of goes back to the other conversation we had about, the future of Life is Strange, where it's like, and people will comment on that video saying like, why is there not like an MCU? It's not as big as the MCU, but there's no kind of timeline concentrated for like what kind of game we're getting. And I think, personally speaking, I think Captain Spirit did more marketing help for Life is Strange 2 than anything they could have ever imagined, because people were like, oh yeah, we got to play this free game. It's like, it's available and we can carry things over to the main game and I kind of get a taste of what's going to happen. And there's kind of like different aesthetic and vibe and stuff. It was just Life is Strange content for free. to play. And I think you could have done that with True Colors. You pick up True Colors, for example. Who's to say you couldn't have done like one, again, something similar in that same vein as like Ethan, for example, then you integrate it into the LARP segment. Or you do an entire like little focus section with Ethan where you play as him, and then you get to the point where Alex arrives and he sees Alex for the first time. That's the ending point of that. But then you have this entire pre-build-up of him like drawing his comics. You understand him a little bit more. Maybe it's a bit more difficult because with True Colors they kind of told us everything straight away. It was like, here's the characters, here's what's happening, you're following Alex Chen, etc. Life is Strange 2 was very much more Mystique vibe. I think it was that kind of like the dash cam footage, which I remember that trailer being very eerie, where it shows a police car fly over in the copper. And I was like, ooh, this is something. It has the backpack. And it's like, I was a bit like, they sold it a bit more quietly, that. So I think you kind of got away with what Captain Spirit did, where it was like, there's this character and it's like, it's not the character you think it's going to be. It's just a character in this story. So I think that's why they got away with it. But I think like, they kind of did it again, like with True Colors. Like they had Free Comic Book Day, where they had like the comic with Alex in there, with Max and all the other people, like the kind of integration there. But I think just there was something with Captain Spirit. I think it was a really special thing for them to do. Don't Nod to come back and create this little extension piece, and then create more hype behind Life is Strange. People, like I said, people were picking this game apart. They were like, "What's this toy's significance? What's this? What's that?" They were kind of creating that same kind of free publicity that every developer and publisher dreams of, but then doesn't seem to capitalize on it at some point. Like, it's always one of those when it happens and they're just kind of like, oh, well, it's like, maybe we should do this again, try again and see if it works for us. But then they go down a completely different route. It's like, why are you doing that? It's like, just, if it's almost like do it.
Yeah, it's almost like an interactive trailer, because like me and you like really picked at that like little teaser of the VHS tape, right? Like we rewound and we went back, we were looking at things, but like Captain Spirit was like an interactive trailer. It was a trailer for Life is Strange 2 that you could just walk around and explore and play Hot Dog Man on the dad's phone. And I want it in real life. I want it on my phone now, Hot Dog Man. But you know, that's up for Luke to decide to put out. But
speaking on VHS, that VHS trailer, did you see Michel's notebook?
I did. That was very nice.
I was wondering why I remember those colors that were on the logo. I was like, and then when you posted the tape, I was like, oh, I almost had a heart attack because I blasted from the past. I was like, oh my god. I was like, there it is. There's the relic.
There it is. Oh man, I can't wait to like, get more details about that game. So, for
anyone wondering, it was a Scotch.
Yes, Scotch. The
Scotch
VHS, not the tape. Well, actually, the tape. But like not the Scotch tape, the sticky tape, but like the Scotch tape, like the VHS tape.
Was it in a cardboard?
Yeah, no, it was in cardboard. Yeah, all the time. Yeah. But the cardboard held up over time. I don't know how. I don't know what it is. It's like the Pokemon games, like in the Game Boy Color games and stuff. They hold up for some reason. It's like they're only just pieces of paper. Exactly. I don't know. I don't understand. But that's the way the cookie crumbles. I don't know. It's just like.
Well, actually, they don't hold up because I've got one. I only have one Game Boy Color game on my shelf, and it's starting to fall apart a bit. But I looked up on eBay; it's worth £100 now, which is quite funny.
Dang, that's a lot of weight, man.
Yeah, I only paid £10 for it. I was at my sister's graduation. I saw it on the shelf. I was like, I want to buy that. And I screamed at my mum saying, I want to buy it. And then she eventually gave into it, and I bought it. And now it's worth £100 and it's sitting on my shelf. It's been there for maybe like 15 years, maybe.
Oh,
if not longer. Jeez. Yeah, maybe.
Dang. But
anyways, back onto the point.
Yeah. No, I really do think that like you said, I think they should put out games like, especially, you know, if Luke or Michel is watching or listening, you know, like, putting out like just a little bit like a Captain Spirit-esque of your new game, right? Because then we can like interact with it. We can interact with the trailer, maybe a demo or something. I don't know. Invite me and Adnan out to Montreal just to take a little quick little.
I don't think they'll do that. I think they'll do that.
I mean, Luke's a nice guy. You know, I think Luke will like.
No, not invite us out. I didn't mean that. I meant the actual demo thing. No, play plans.
I thought you were saying I don't think they'll invite us out. They hit our guts.
Probably that as well. But no, I don't think they'll do something like that. I think this game's completely different from what they're doing. I think the essence of Life is Strange 1 and 2 is in the game, but it's going to be quite unique, I think, personally.
Yeah, no,
I just
yeah, I don't think it. Because that's the thing. I don't think it's a smart. I was going to say, I joke about it. They should put out a small demo of this game. However, I don't think that's a great idea because it is a new IP. We don't know what we're getting with it. So it's kind of like with Captain Spirit, it was completely different because we're familiar with the IP. We're familiar how the mechanics work. We're familiar with the characters, the storytelling, the choices. Like we're familiar with it. This, from what we understand, this is a completely new IP where it is Michel's style, right? But it's not necessarily Life is Strange, right? It's a completely new IP. Same with any game, right? For great example, Starfield from Bethesda, right? It's going to be Fallout in space, but it's not, right? We can't expect that because then we'll be disappointed, right? Same thing with this. I think if we play a demo of this game, we're going to expect it to be Life is Strange, and I think there will be like some essence of Life is Strange in it, but it's not going to be Life is Strange, and I think we're going to be disappointed because we're expecting something completely different. And we're going to be.
Oh, I won't be disappointed.
Me and you won't be disappointed, but like I'm talking about the general populace. Yeah,
I'm not going in the expectation it's Life is Strange. I'm hoping it's nothing like Life is Strange. I'm hoping it has essence of Life is Strange. That's what I'm hoping for. I hope that what they've taken away from Life is Strange 1, 2, and Captain Spirit and all the positives, they channel that. But I hope it's something really left field. I hope it's something weird because in itself, let me kind of give you an inkling of the structure of this show. Because you couldn't see the original tweet that I talked about from Natalie. The entire part of the emphasis of this show is that what Michel said in his first tweet in the news segment that we covered is emphasis on what we're talking about now. If you just notice where it's like we're raving about a game that's only like 2 hours long, if that.
Right.
And that's why I picked this as the main topic, because I wanted to link it back to the first one, because I wanted to have a conversation about stupidly long games where it's like X, Y, Z, ABC, all the kind of like huge amount of content that you don't need. And then we're raving about a game 4 years later, which was a spin-off, a demo essentially, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, it was more of a demo than a spin-off, yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of me relating to it because they're the best games I've played in recent years. Gone Home, PT, anything that's like stupidly short, like PT, something
which
different.
Was a demo. Yeah.
Yeah, which like when you play something like that, and it's like it has that kind of like longevity of like impact on you. That's what kind of holds it for me, and that's why I wanted to have this as the main topic and juxtapose it to link it back to the first news segment, because that's what I was saying. Like I Captain Spirit, I would probably put, if I was not even completely including it in the main Life is Strange games, would probably be one of my favorites in the entire series because it's just short, it's concentrated, for its time when it was coming out, the E3 trailer drops, the game's available, we go and play it. And it's like this like little things that you just didn't expect, like a little twist. It's like this kind of thing of like just almost like living as a child again. But then in between it, like, you know, it's doing Life is Strange at its best. Like you can tell that it's a Don't Nod game. Visually, it's done that way. The art direction, play, the Don't Nod is there. But like what I took away from it, I was thinking like this hyped me more for Life is Strange 2. This was like more hype for me. I think in itself it hyped a lot of people, and then when they got to Life is Strange 2, they were like a bit like, And I was like, I was already hyped at this point. I was already gone there and played Life is Strange 2, and that's just phenomenal in itself. Underrated, probably one of the most underrated games the last 10 years, if not. Yeah. So like that's what I kind of got away from. But I think that the springboard, that's what I was so focused on. It's just like it was just great. It's what Life is Strange should have done with True Colors. They could have just done like some kind of like little prelude where you can play as something in Haven. Like I think Haven Springs is one of the most untapped potentials from a Life is Strange game in like recent memory. We only have a couple, but like the most untapped one. And it's so this isn't a dig at Deck Knight. I'm just saying like they could have thought about it from a developer and maybe even publishing background, where it's like we have a season pass. Where it's a season pass where we have like 8 stories or like 6 stories. We tell it from the perspective of how did Diane Jacobs get to Haven Springs? Obviously through, you know, the biggest story, but like her arriving in Haven Springs, you play as her for like, you know, like maybe an hour and a half where you basically walk around the town, what she's doing when Alex isn't in the scenes, what is she doing there? You have a story with Riley, you have a story with Gabe Chen, you have a story with this person. You could have done like loads of them because you could have then wavelengths would have been completed. That could have been like a 5 character kind of thing where you do that. And like if you just take that, for example, me building out this season pass kind of idea of Haven Spring and just include it into like almost like a...
That's the other thing Square Enix missed out on, a season pass. Goodness.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I mean. Like they missed out on that. And then instead of just doing that, you could have just done a Captain Spirit-esque game. It doesn't have to be exactly like Captain Spirit, but you take the kind of essence of
Sure.
what Captain Spirit is. You could have done this entire story through Ethan, for example, followed him for like an hour and a half around Haven, so you see a bit more of his interaction with Gabe, you see more interaction with his mom, then you see, like, obviously get to the point with, like, him interacting with some of the other characters, because then you build a connection with these characters. So, like, by the time you've played it, and then you get to, obviously, we know why Ethan's upset when Gabe dies in the game, but, like, then you're like, oh, you're a bit like, shit, I understand why this kid is so upset, because Gabe is treating him like a son, and you see all those really more heartfelt segments or something. Then it's like that. That's when you see, I think this is where it adds to it, because, like, you play through that in Captain Spirit, and you kind of get this vibe that Chris's dad is a bit of a piece of shit at sometimes when he's drinking too much. But then there are moments where he talks to Sean saying, like, maybe I shouldn't drink too much. Maybe I can't, I want to be the dad that I want to be to Chris, but I'm struggling with this. And it's kind of like, then my argument of being a piece of shit flows out the window, because he's not a piece of shit. He's someone who's struggling himself. Like, he's not, a generic alcoholic dad. It's like he's turned to alcohol because of this kind of like problem that's affected his life. So I mean, like, there's an intricacy where you can kind of connect characters. You have more meaning. Because like me playing episode 2 Roads.
Episode 2 is Rules. Episode
Rules.
1 Roads.
Episode 1's Road. Episode 2 is Rules.
Let's talk about who's the real Life is Strange 2 expert out here.
Exactly. And episode 3 is Wastelands. Oh,
Wastelands was episode 4?
No. It's episode 3.
Wastelands was 3.
Hold on. I'm
No, you're right. Wastelands was 3.
Right, I thought so. Right. Okay.
Yeah. Wait. Episode 4 was Wolves, and now I can't remember. now. Wait, dang it. Go with what you're
pull up the list. Pull up the list before someone calls out. Right, you can read these out. I feel deeply. Where's episode?
Okay,
I
so
didn't
Life
review
is Strange.
Episode 5. Episode 4.
Okay. Oh wait, Life is Strange 2 chapter names. Okay, before we get ourselves in some trouble. Okay, episode 1 was Roads.
Rules.
Okay. Oh no, where is it? Oh no. Okay.
What are you doing?
It goes Roads, Rules, Wastelands, Faith, Wolves.
Yeah.
That was it.
I thought Wolves couldn't be number 4 because Wolves is 5. Yeah, but like episode 2, that's why, like, for me it was like that kind of connection. That's probably why I gave it that full score as well, which you did.
Yes.
I'm gonna say that. It was a great episode.
Yeah.
Great episode. But like that's what I mean. Like there was just there's so much you can build with a spin-off game into like a mainline game. I think like with these kind of games, especially like Life is Strange, it would give like, imagine if they like the next Life is Strange is in development, like 2 years down the line, they do like a PT-esque thing where it's like they tease this random game and it's like, oh, it's available on the PlayStation Store, on the Xbox Store. And it's like you can go and download it, and then someone plays through it, and then they figure out it's Life is Strange at the end of it. You'd be like, oh shit! It's like, oh my god, like, that's what happens with those kind of moments. And I want that kind of like vibe where it's like, I don't think it's necessarily hard to do it, and you can capitalize on what you give to an audience. Like they remember all the stuff in Life is Strange 2. I remember getting to Life is Strange 2 and then walking Chris's house and seeing his toys. I was like, I remember those toys. It's like, I remember those toys. I'm like looking in the cupboard, I'm like, where the fuck's Mantroid? I'm like, look, trying to spot this guy. So like, I just like the fact that we had already played it and then got to this. It was such a nice supplement section, and I think like obviously this is why I always had that argument where
and it didn't spoil the story at all. Like it just was a separate take. Yeah,
it created mystique. It was a big little twist at the end of it as well to kind of say to you that, oh, you're not playing as this guy. He's going to be someone you'll cross paths with in the kind of series or that kind of game. But it's like, well, for me, the argument where it's like, if I was saying like Life is Strange 2 could be better than Life is Strange 1 as the best game in the series, if you combine Captain Spirit with it, which is what I do. When I say Life is Strange 2, I'm always counting Captain Spirit. It's such a well packaged game. You put it up there, it's like, it's just, yeah. I feel like I'm losing my words, but yeah, I think it's just one of those like really, really unique experiences, and it's like one of those what really stands out for me. Again, it relates back to that first news section that we talked about, which was like length, quality, kind of quantity of time, like how much time they put towards it, what we got in return from it. And like for me to rave about it 4 years later, for people to rave about Life is Strange 4 years later, a big part of that is down to the success of Captain Spirit.
Yeah, totally. No, yeah, if I'm just answering this question, like I believe they should do more spin-offs, but I understand why they wouldn't, because maybe it doesn't fit quite well with the story. Because again, the beauty behind Captain Spirit was that it was a side character that we didn't really get a lot of time with in Life is Strange 2, and it kind of led into Life is Strange 2. But if you don't have that sort of character involved, you're going to sometimes end up spoiling the story, right? Like there's a lot of times where I avoid trailers for movies because I want to go in cold. I want to go in completely cold. But with this one, I think it fit where you still could play this and still go into Life is Strange 2 cold. And that's kind of like, it's definitely a weird, like, kind of phenomenon in your writing that you do have a character to kind of dispose in a EP sort of sense without spoiling the story. So I want to say yes, I think you should. But if you don't have that, sort of character arc that you can dispose to a 2-hour game, it's best that you leave the audience going into your game cold. So I'm on the fence. I'm in the gray area here. Yeah.
No, I think and what you said about trailers is quite an interesting conversation, because this is why I don't usually watch trailers. I think looking back on that True Colors trailer, it's so cool, the reveal trailer at first, but then they gave everything away.
Yeah.
And I always said this to people,
like in Life is Strange 2, like immediately after the trailer, they revealed that, Sean's father passes away.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wait, now, oh, dang it. Because then when I got to Life is Strange 2, I actually gave my dad a hug. I actually gave him, because I was like, oh, well, you're going to die. So here you go, Pop. But if I didn't know that, I probably wouldn't have hugged my dad because, I don't have a dad of my own. So why do I have to hug your dad? It's not my job.
See, Look, I just wish they keep somewhat a little bit of secret. I think maybe Life is Strange you can get away with because it's central to the story. I feel like Gabe's wasn't that central. Like I was when he got killed, I was like, holy shit! It's like that man just got flown flying off the roof. I was like when I was waiting for it to happen because I knew it was going to happen. I wish they would have created the story of she's going back to Haven, she's solving this mystery that's just happened. Obviously, you probably assume it's Gabe's death, but you could get away with it just being hidden.
Sure.
And same with even Life is Strange 2, the cover just said Esteban, not Esteban, Sean and Daniel are on the run for X, Y, Z, ABC reasons. But obviously we find out that it's Esteban that dies in there. But I think because of how this sold Captain Spirit as this little brief trailer that was shown at E3, it was we just don't know much about it. It's just you're playing as this little kid. And then when you get into it and you're vested, you you have no expectation of what this can be in terms of it could be anything that's going to happen in the story. Yeah. And that's my favorite part about it, because I remember playing, I was like, this is genuinely so great to play it. And then I don't know if I knew Esteban was going to die in Life is Strange 2. No, I knew. I was following too closely at that point.
That's the thing with people in our stance where we do follow gaming news. I don't follow gaming news as much as when I was doing games and groceries, but when I was doing games and groceries, nothing was left cold for me. We're following the gaming news. We're very close to it. But now that I'm outside of the gaming news, now that I'm not following so closely, I'll be honest with you, I'm enjoying games a lot more.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good, isn't it?
Because now I'm in bliss. Now I'm oh my God. When people share news to me, for example, I just signed up for Skate 4's closed beta. So hopefully Skate. Hey, EA, if you're listening to this, I know you're not, but please choose me to play Skate 4 because please. But
we don't mention EA in this podcast, Adam. After that atrocious branding tweet, I'm not going to talk about that.
Oh my God, don't get me started. But I'll take the hit to just play Skate, please. For the love of God, I love Skate 3. Anyways, but I didn't know that until my friend texted me hey, I know you like Skate, so sign up for this. I was in full bliss, oh my God. But going back to the topic, for people like us to be following the gaming news, I think we get hurt with a lot of spoilers, right? Or we're seeing rumors, or we're seeing reports, or we're looking at Reddit. We're seeing a lot of this, but I think we're kind of the anomaly of most gamers, because if they put out something like this, even just the trailer, I don't think a lot of people will really read into this like us or Down the Bomb would. I think we're the only ones that kind of put an analysis on things, whereas some people just watch a trailer and they still go into the game cold. You know, nobody's analyzing a trailer, just especially the teaser trailer with the videotape. They're like, oh, videotape, and they'll just move on with their life.
Those are the trailers I like to analyze, though. Like I wouldn't when they announced the game, that say the Montreal game, I wouldn't analyze every scene of it. I don't think I'd focus on like when they do the teaser. That's where I feel like the mystery starts. It's like, what the hell is this?
Well, that's why.
It's like
that's why me and you are doing a show like this, because we like to analyze things, you know, like. But I think the general populace is just like they're, you know, what's the word? Normal. I think they're normal, and they can just
define normal.
Yeah, exactly. I can't because I don't know the word, but you know, like I think that like I think people can watch trailers and not overanalyze, and they can still go into the movie cold. Where I know I'll look at a trailer and I'm going to spoil absolutely everything. Like especially Top Gun Maverick. Didn't watch a single trailer because I love Top Gun, and I'll be like, oh, this song was in here, but I didn't watch a single trailer because I knew what would happen, and I hate myself for it. But yeah, no, that's it. But I just think that a normal person can just play a game like Captain Spirit or watch a trailer and still go into a game cold.
It's just hard though. Like anything you can't really go cold into anything. Like I've spent enough time like looking at memes on TikTok, and then loads of stuff came up from Kenobi, and I just started the first episode of Kenobi. I'm not going to spoil it for anyone, but yeah, I saw some of the memes and stuff referenced in there. So it's like I kind of like I get what's going on here. Like, you know, I kind of like see like where this meme's come from. It's like a bit like I wish I didn't see this first. I wish I'd seen the TV show first, then seen these memes and stuff pop up, and whoever the characters that's been popping up in the memes. But you can't do anything like that. It's just unfortunate. This is the animal that is social media. Like this is what happens with games. It's like when like something drops and everyone like dog piles on it. And,
yeah. Like don't get me started with the Stranger Things thing. Like I watched like Stranger Things right before the memes came out. What's that?
No spoilers. No spoilers.
Oh no. I'm not spoiling it, but like I'm racing to because they just released the last 2 episodes of Stranger Things 4 Volume 2. They just and I was like. We got to watch this because I know Twitter.
Yeah.
And of course, like right before we started the second episode, like I'm just scrolling through Twitter just to see what's up. Just the entire timeline. I'm like, oh my God, dude, chill. Yeah. Like, but you know,
and it's worse because you're in different time zones. Like when I watched Game of Thrones for 6 seasons nonstop. And then when it reached like its height of success of like popularity, I was like getting spoiled well in advance before I could even watch the episode. I was like, this is just fucking stupid, isn't it? It's like, if you want to talk about it, go on Reddit. Why are you tweet? Oh, maybe that's a different debate in itself. I think like you should go on Reddit and stuff like that instead of putting it on Twitter. But in itself, social media is an unregulated monster. So what can we really do about it? But yeah, I think like on that kind of conversation, yeah, it depends on what it is. And I think like because like the way that the Don't Nod game's going to come out, it almost seems very AA-esque, Life is Strange 1-esque. I'm kind of happy with that because there'll be a concentrated amount of people who will be following it, not Star Wars level of like people following it and breaking everything apart and doing all this. Then it's going to be like that's when it's littered all over your timelines and stuff. Right. So I think that's me for the main topic. Unless you have anything else to add.
Nope, I have nothing else to add except screw the Supreme Court. But
well, fucking hell, that in itself is a conversation.
You're across the pond, man. You're safe. I am.
In my lifetime, I've seen a lot of things, and I thought one thing that would never get overturned in any legal precedent was Roe versus Wade, and that is just something that happened in my lifetime, which is shocking. But I was thinking about this actually genuinely because obviously Michel, Luke, a lot of the Montreal people were on Twitter. That I wouldn't be surprised if they make a reference towards this in their game. Depending on how far it's in development and stuff like that, I would not be very surprised if they try and make some reference to it in between whatever it is. Not like a huge, bang on point, but like maybe in like a, I don't know, something. But I wouldn't be surprised if they mention or make references because it's very significant. And yeah, there's a Supreme Court for you. Right. So let's move into the final topic, which is the one that you recently introduced, which was spread the arts.
Yay. I want to get yours first because you've been teasing it. So
so mine isn't something to recommend personally. Having done that, because like the only thing that I've recently
don't blame the game, blame PlayStation.
Well, no, because mine's not going to be. It's not going to be Assassin's Creed 3. I wouldn't recommend that, and I'm not going to recommend Kenobi because I've only watched one episode and I can't. Like I have my own feelings on that, which many people have, and it's only one episode. But like it will be based on my recommendation. Will be Oxenfree, from what you said, but I wanted to talk about Oxenfree. This is spoiler free as well, because I want people to go into the expectation of this. Because like Michel tweeted about it when I put it on there. He's like I think you'll really enjoy this game. And Alex is one of my favorite characters in like recent memory. And I was like, when I played it, Alex gave me this kind of vibe where I wish she was like, you know, Monster Hunter, Capcom-esque, pulled out the game and then put into the Life is Strange universe as like a cameo. Like you could just put her take her from Oxenfree and just put her in like Life is Strange Before the Storm or something, and you'd seen her in the town or something, because she feels so fit for it. But let me give you my controversial opinion here. If you had dropped Oxenfree on my desk today and said, can you review this game? It's been out for a while on PS4, but you said to me, can you review this game for me? Right. I'd be like, okay. And I was reviewing it, and the score scale, I would give it a 1 out of 10 on PS4.
On PS4.
I would write a review.
Let's be specific.
On PS4. On PS4. I would write you a review, which would have all the great positives on there, because it's got really good positives in there.
Yeah.
And I would write you the negatives, and the score would say 1 out of 10. And you'd be like, what is going on here? My problem with that is that the PS4 version is broken. I cannot finish the game. I will not tell you what the ending is. I cannot finish the game. I went and read it and saw it. Apparently, I think from patch 1.6 or something, the game has broken on PS4. Trophies do not unlock on it. I think I unlocked 1 trophy for my entire playthrough. Other trophies do not unlock. And then you can't... It crashed 4 times during playthrough. So I think like one point it crashed in the middle of something, and I'd got sent all the way back to where the original checkpoint was. So I was walking through the same scenes again. And then on top of that, the ending. I cannot reach the end of the game. So for me, anything that is defined as a 1 out of 10 on a score scale is something that is broken. And I can't say to you, if I come on here and say, here's the finale of Kenobi, and I cut the last 20 minutes off of you, what are you going to say to me? That I haven't finished it yet. And maybe there's an argument with a film where you can review it and you don't need to watch the entire thing. But with a game, and you put that much investment into it, and the fact that I can't finish the game out of my own personal choice because the game is broken in there, that would be my position right now. So I would suggest very much do not buy the PS4 version of it.
Which is wild, because I played it fully, like beat it on Xbox, PC, and the Switch, and I never had an issue with the ending like you did. I never played it on PS4 because I don't really go on PlayStation too much. But like, that's the first time I've ever heard of that. But you know, PlayStation 4 version.
I sent you the video of it. You saw it.
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Like I've never had that happen.
So let me add something else, which is that High School Studios did respond to me on Twitter, and I put a ticket through onto their thing, and they've elevated it to their thing. They sent me another email saying this has been elevated to critical or something. So they are fixing it. But in that current state, I would recommend you don't play Oxenfree, especially on the PS4.
But aside from that, we're just talking about the story here. You're not analyzing it like a reviewer. What did you think of the story?
I always every scene that comes out, I'm critically looking at it. I can't look at it that way.
Oh my god! What did you think of like just the dynamic of the whole crew? Like, did you like how?
So this is again like where interesting conversations are built into this. So like obviously, like I think was it the joke? Was it Dick Harden?
Yes, Dick Harden.
Yeah, well, I was genuinely like laughing for like 20 minutes of that. I'm the most.
Yeah, Dick Harden.
When it's like those kind of jokes, I am someone who's like so easy to please. I will like laugh like 25, 30 minutes like nonstop. Right. So the actual story, the story is okay. Yeah, I think it started to like lose. It's charming.
It's been done before, you know.
Yeah. I find the more concentrated story of Alex and sibling more interesting, which is more for me. Yes. The outer mystique thing doesn't really resonate with me. It's kind of interesting at first, but then it starts to fall off a little bit of a cliff for me. Like halfway in, 3/4 in, I was a bit like, I really like the cast of characters. They are really nice. The dialogue is exceptional. These people feel normal. They feel like people you'd meet. They are generally like, it's like people who know who talk to each other. It's not like me writing people having a conversation, because fuck me. Yeah. that would be a conversation itself. But it's like people actually having conversations with itself. There's 2 problems I had with Oxenfree, beyond other issues as well. One is, whilst its art direction is beautiful, the way the game is set out, I don't like. So where you're following, like almost like a side scroll, it's like you're following through. The problem with this is that you can go around scenes where like I'm walking and then the dialogue interruptly changes to something else because I've triggered the next prompt. So the entire exchange that I had here, which was meaningful, is lost. So I had to basically at one point stop whilst these two characters were talking because I was fearful of moving forward and triggering what the next event would be. I'd lose this entire dialogue exchange between them. So that was an issue that I had with it. And that kind of goes into my second one, which was earlier in the show. I mentioned it. I was going to mention it here. Video games are a very great medium. They're really one of the most truly unique because we are the players and we get the opportunity to kind of interact with things. We get to see things. We get to do things. But I always feel like the developer needs to be like, no, you're playing a video game and I'm going to have control of this. So you can't just do what you want to do during this scene. And this is what I feel like with, again, why Metal Gear is my favorite game, where it's like, it's very cinematic-esque, but then there's kind of like the way, well, it's very cinematic-esque, but there's always a kind of film where it's like, no, you need to watch this cutscene now. We're going to take you away from it. You're taking the control away from it. Because what I found was, there were really sentimental moments in Oxenfree between Alex, sibling, other characters. But the problem was, I was running around like a daft twat, like circling around like in a finger. And it's like, and I'm doing it on purpose. I'm like, why are you not stopping me from running around here? Like, imagine, for example, episode 5 of like Life is Strange 1, where Chloe's like saying, Max, you have to sacrifice me, you need to save the town, all this. Imagine me just goofing around in the lighthouse section where it's like I'm just like running around like Max, and you're thinking like, who's taking this seriously? I can't gauge it at that point. You need to be like, stop. The controls that we're taking the controls away from you. You need to focus here. It's important that you listen to this conversation. You can't have any movement. So that's my issue with it. It's like that because like what they could have done was, and this is the kind of main point, it's like they could have zoomed the camera in onto the two characters and had a more meaningful exchange. Where it's like, imagine Life is Strange 1, take all the big scenes where it's like Max, Chloe talking to each other, reverse camera angles. Story wouldn't have the same impact.
Right.
Just wouldn't.
Yeah, we don't know what they're going to fix in Oxenfree 2, which is going to release soon. Like they could have like taken all the story beats and like actually fix it all, because what you're talking about kind of happens in their second game, After Party. There's a lot more character emphasis. I didn't really connect with the story in After Party. I think it was a weaker one, but in terms of gameplay, in terms of choices, in terms of like actual consequences in the game, I think it was a better game. I didn't really connect with the story too much, but I think that we're going to take what they had with Oxenfree and After Party and like put it into Oxenfree 2. So I'm excited for how they're going to implement with Oxenfree 2. But I really connected with Oxenfree. I liked it a lot. I mean, I played it all the way through on 3 different systems, so I really liked it. But and I made a video on it. So
you did make a video on it. It popped up.
Yeah. Oh my god!
It popped up in my YouTube suggestions after a little bit when I was like looking up Oxenfree. Like, there he is. Yeah,
hey,
it popped up in the corner. Nice. I saw it there. See, like again, like let me emphasize, I'm not moaning that I don't like this game. I think it's gore.
No, you're going on the emphasis of a reviewer. Like you're a professional reviewer. You're not like just a regular game.
Well, it's that, and it's like my immersion is like broken at certain points. Like it's I can tell. I can tell it's made by someone from Telltale because, like, obviously when the prompts and stuff, it has like and you have like the faces as well, and it pops up, and it's like, it says like how someone's mood is towards you.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I kind of get that. I was like, it's almost like it reminded me that this person will remember me kind of like thing from Telltale. But again, like that didn't have huge amount of like impact from it. Obviously towards the end it affects certain things, but I was kind of like, it just didn't have a huge impact within the story, like Life is Strange 1-esque kind of like vibe. But I was fully immersed with it. I was very nostalgic for that kind of period when I was playing for it. The art direction is beautiful, the voice acting is exceptional, the writing is exceptional, the dialogue is exceptional. There was a lot of positives to take away from it, but the experience I got left with PS4 was a bit like, I was like, and that's truthfully like, if you actually told me to write a review at in its current state on that post 1.6 patch, it would get 1 out of 10 for me. I can't justify someone say, hey, you need to go and pay. I got it on sale, but you pay like $5 for it, whatever it is, and then they go and play it, and it's like, hang on a minute, the game's broken at the end, and it's like, well, it's not just a personal me experience; it's a general experience with a lot of people. So, I couldn't put myself above it, and hopefully they do fix it. They did say they're working on something. I give them credit, benefit of the doubt, but I did really enjoy certain parts of Oxenfree. It was really enjoyable, especially Alex. Alex is you want those kind of characters in the games. They're the ones that really click with you, and I was really kind of taken away from it. So I thought I'd give my update from for my section of this part of the podcast to
yeah.
you.
So I have two things, right? One is kind of like a
Whoa! Don't make up your own
side
rules here.
thing.
Bringing two in here, like
A little side thing. I'm gonna get into a game, but like I just rewatched the movie, and I'm just like emphasizing if you haven't watched yet, Chef, which stars oh no, what's his name? Oh no, but he directed Iron Man. He was happy in Iron Man. He's in all of his movies. He was in Elf. He directed Elf. Oh no, what's his name?
I just have a mental picture of Chef from South Park.
Chef, no. Okay, let me just Google Chef. Sorry. Okay, I cannot believe Jon Favreau. My God, Adam. But Jon Favreau in Chef. It's one of the most accurate movies about people who are in the restaurant industry. It is incredibly accurate. As someone who, if I don't make it in music, I would not mind making a career in the chef world, like going to Michelin star restaurants, cooking. I love my job right now, but as someone who is in the food industry, this is one of the most accurate takes of the food industry and the passion behind it I've ever seen in my entire life. So if you haven't watched it yet, I've watched it for the 5th time, Chef. So go watch that. But the one that's more detailed, that's new to me, I only played the first chapter, and now I'm actually going around to beating the game, is Plague Tale Innocence, which is actually...
Ooh.
Yes, I am just coming around to beating it because, of course, one of my favorite composers composed it, who I can never pronounce his name, Olivier oh, man, I'm not French, I'm sorry, de Riviere. Okay, so we worked on Remember Me, so... Michel, if you're watching this, Luke, if you're watching this, you've met the man. Please correct me, because I'm Olivier de Riviere. Please don't make me meet him. I'm going to be so embarrassed. But anyway, so he composed it. I think it's a beautiful composition. But more importantly, the game is really good. Like, I'm only halfway through the game, essentially, and I love the story. I think some of the dialogue is a little bit rushed for my liking. Like there's some emotions that like go from 0 to 60 real quick. But because it's a much more concentrated game, it's an 8-hour game. I can appreciate it for that much. It doesn't build up to these emotions. It goes 0 to 60 real quick. But from what I like the setting. I like how linear it is. I'm like, you're exploring, of course, but I like a good story that's linear. I like a good emphasis on the music. I like a good emphasis on the stealth mechanics, but it's not too stealthy. It's not going to like screw you up. Whenever you get caught, it's your fault. So I like it so far. I like the emphasis on the rats. It's a really beautiful game. And with the second game coming out in October and it's on Game Pass, I'm like, why haven't I beaten it yet? So now I'm going around to beating it. So it's a good game. And Olivier de Riviere. Bonjour, Beckett.
I think that's how it's not. Olivier de Riviere.
Yeah, de Riviere. Olivier de Riviere.
Obviously, I'm terrible at pronunciations, but I'm kind of just saying.
Yeah.
I think that's what it is. I don't think Luke worked on Remember Me, by the way.
Oh, you don't think so? Oh, no, he didn't. You're right.
No,
Yeah.
I'm going to look at them now.
So, Michel, if you're watching this, please don't introduce me to him. I'm going to be so embarrassed.
Michel was one of the artists. Yes, I remember Michel was being an artist and Remember Me. Yeah, so very good 2 choices. Chef is a very accurate one as well. It's very scary. How I always say to people, like, my controversial take to Adam is like, if I ran my country where I did, I'd make it conscription for everyone to do 2 years of hospitality service, because if you did, everyone in this country, or even in the US as well, would never be an absolute twat when they go into a place like that, because once you've worked in a place like hospitality, you will never look at it the same way. Never look at it in the same way. You'll never treat someone the same way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. I mean, I did it. I went into the restaurant industry by accident, and now I'm loving it. So I would, if that's my career point. I don't care.
I genuinely think that I could probably start like a TikTok podcast about stories that happen in hospitality. I could genuinely think it would have like a attraction of people who follow it, because like when you don't work it and you understand what happens down from the people you work with, the chefs, everything like that. I have like 800 stories from about 2.5 years when I was working in hospitality. That's just when I'm like working full-time and part-time. Like, you do not understand it. Like, let me give you just one example for the story. It's random as well. When I was working there once, this guy, I can't even do this. He orders like a ribeye. It's like 60 ounce, something like, so 60 ounce ribeye, medium rare. So I'm like, okay, take it. The guy who's running the pub that I was working for at the minute, he was one of the co-owners, and he was also the head chef at that point. So when he was in there, like, big Welshman as well, Jesus Christ. And like, when he started screaming and firing at you, it's like, you don't want to hear it. Makes it. And this guy could cook as well. I'm going to credit Cook. Take it out to the table. This guy starts eating it. Then I go over to the table, obviously check over my, you're all right? And he's with his girlfriend. He's like, yeah. He's like, the steak isn't cooked through properly. I'm like, no, please don't do this. Please don't do this for me. And he's basically cut off the end of the steak and it's still quite red. And I'm like, right. I was like, you need to cut into it a bit more. And he's like, no, this isn't cooked. I'm like, but the emphasis is that the more the meat moves out, it's going to be a different colour. Like, if you cut into it, it's going to look medium rare the way you want it. It's like, I don't think so. It's like, you need to get the chef to take it back. So I pick up the plate, and it's like, you know, like almost like a walk into hell, and Satan's waiting for me. So I'm like walking back, already preparing myself. I'm like, I'm not going to say the chef's name. I put it down. I'm like, here's the steak. He's like, what's wrong with it? And I'm like, well, he said it's not medium rare. And I was like, and he basically slams everything down, pulls the finger over the thingy, cuts it through the middle. He's like, what's that look like, Adnan? And I'm like, well, obviously it's medium rare. He's like, what if it's medium rare? He's like, take it back to him. He's like, screaming at me. I got away with a lot of it compared to other people. He was kind of more passive with me, if anything. And he's like, it's medium rare. Like, you take this out to the short. I was like, cool. Yeah. Take it back out, and it's like, well, the chef's cut it for me and showing it's medium rare. I was like, oh, right, quiet. And the guy eats it for the rest of the meal quietly. That is one story out of 150 I could give you of like horror stories that have happened in that industry that I worked in. It is the most brutal and unforgiving. So when you watch Chef and your recommendation of Chef, I would recommend anyone who worked in hospitality to go and watch it. And if you haven't, watch it, because the minute you watch it, you're like, oh, you get rid of the Gordon Ramsay kind of like swearing at people and being absolutely horrible to people. Like, you actually see hospitality for what it is.
I'll tell you this: there's me, and then there's back of the house me. Like, when I'm back of the house and I'm like in it, like, I'm completely different. I'm not gentle. I'm gentle as much as I can be, but if somebody tells me that like this thing wasn't cooked right, I'm like, okay, someone's ass is about to be kicked right here and right now. Like, get over here. But
it's the frustration, though, isn't it? Because like, you can own your mistakes. If you send out something stupid, it's wrong. That it's your fault. But it's like, if you cooked it the way that you're meant to cook it, if you cooked it the way that it's meant to be cooked, and then someone sends it back, they have absolutely no idea. I always say this to people. I'm like, I'm a firm lover of food to an extent, and then also of coffee as well. And I genuinely sit there in a coffee shop when I go and order my coffee, and I listen to these other people come in and order like an extra hot decaf skinny latte. It's like, why don't you just drink water? Because clearly you don't understand coffee. If you're getting all this stuff, you've absolutely obliterated any flavor this coffee has. You've absolutely wasted everyone else's time, and you're not drinking coffee at this point. You're just drinking.
Just drink a soda
again. Like, and again, you can order whatever you want. I've always said this to people. Like, even I rip on people who order well done steaks, but like, you can order it because there's still a fine art to cooking a well done steak. If you're going to cook it, you have to cook it properly, though. So there's still a fine art to it. But the problem is, if you're there complaining about it, you've absolutely obliterated any flavor that's in that meat. You've cooked that animal has died for nothing.
I saw a tweet about a well done steak. It was like, oh, what do you think of my steak? And somebody said, like, that's no longer well done. That's congratulations.
Or cremation, more like, if anything. That's where it's heading towards. You might as well just burn the thing. But those are really good picks that you picked from them. So I would recommend people go and check them out. And we've kept them spoiler free as well. Because you were digging Stranger Things spoilers last podcast. That's bad. Bad. So I just find a time stamp skip for someone for that. But so we'll wrap up here. I think we've spoken for long enough. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have, please do leave us subscribe, like, comment, share, notify, put yourself on YouTube. It helps. We are slowly creeping to 1,000 subscribers. So if you could just do that one thing. It would really help me out. And again, these podcasts are available on podcast services. Everything, I'm pretty sure we're on there. So if you do want to listen to Stitcher, iTunes, anything else, you'll find us on there. So yeah, do stay tuned. Hopefully, I will try and bring Life After Strange back at some point this month. But yeah, stay tuned. Either way, we'll have a new StrangeCast in 2 weeks. Until then, take care, guys. We'll see you later.
Peace.